Honk. What is up, Cobra Kai fans? Hope you're all having a great day. My special guest today is Rachel Guilfoyle Vaughan, who is the assistant costume designer for season 3 and season 4 of Cobra Kai. Rachel, thank you for coming on.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here, and great job with my name. It's a whole salad of vowels, but Rachel Vaughan is A-okay. It's a little bit easier.
Yeah, that I was gonna actually say that name is pretty badass.
Thank you so much.
It sounds like a character's name in Marvel or something. I
So
love it.
cool. Yeah, so my maiden name is Guilfoyle, so it's Rachel Guilfoyle, and then I got married in October, and my husband's last name is Vaughan, so then I just punted my maiden name to my middle name, and I'm this just very long, like, vowel salad. But yeah, Rachel Vaughan is easier to pronounce, but weirdly enough, everybody messes up the spelling, so it's like I just like changed up to complicated names.
I love it. And congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Yeah. So your role in Cobra Kai is really much behind the scenes, and like I was just saying to you now, a lot of people really don't understand like how much goes on with, you know, specifically the costume department, and that's always something I'm interested in, because you see these characters on the show, you see how their personalities come out with what they're wearing and how you guys stylize them. So just to kind of give a bit of context to the viewers and just anybody watching, what does your job exactly entail as an assistant costume designer?
So I'm the assistant designer on the show. I have been on since season 3. Frank Helmer is our costume designer. So I always like to think of my role as like, Frank is the brain in the jar, right? Like that's the design powerhouse. And then from there, I'm sort of functioning as the arms and legs behind making all of that happen. So we work off of the scripts we get, and then we sit from there and then build the character and the costumes around the scripts, and all of the clothes that we're getting just further enhance the story and become a really interesting part of storytelling. So I am there, you know, helping to make sure the shoppers are shopping the right clothes and that we have the right multiples, and then making sure we have sizes for the actors. So we're getting things in the right size. And then going through the fittings, making sure all of the alterations are getting done. So the reason clothes look great on television is because it's all altered. You know, like we rarely buy something off the rack, like in the store, and then put it on and it works. You know, you're always taking in a little bit. So I'm there when we're doing that process, and then making sure all the clothes go to our wardrobe team, who are the people that are on set on the day, making sure everybody is wearing the right things in the right ways, and that that's kind of like a little bit of the process from beginning to end. So I'm sort of there to make sure that goes smoothly and to make sure the design is carried out, and that everybody's happy.
Right. So like, what is there anything in particular that you made for season 4 production? Because I know you said you like kind of, you know, you assist Frank, who's the brain behind it all, but like, yeah, anything in particular that you made?
So I play a really fun part, and like I think Frank and I are great at bouncing ideas off each other. So he'll be like, I kind of have this, like, what do you think between that and that? I felt like what we did for the mermaid princesses at the kids party was a really fun collaboration, because, you know, you wanted to make it it's still like a kids party, so you wouldn't have like full blown mermaids. So it's just kind of like taking it back and making it that almost like a scale, like not too sexy, but I love the like going into it where it's like, okay, put on your wig, ladies, like get ready, like, you know, they get grabby. So I love how this show does that, like play and switch on things so much. So that was really fun to like have them in the bikini tops, and then do these like really fun tails. I think in general, while I wear all black a lot of time, I think my general personality and demeanor is like an explosion of color. So anytime you can do something that's like sparkly, fun, fantasy, like that's super fun. Another thing I played a big part in that was really, really fun was the prom. So I love a prom. I myself went to 5 proms in high school.
Oh, wow.
I was a
Hi.
promaholic. And I have also done I did a movie called Blockers which was also just about prom. So I always like tell everyone that like when it comes to TV stuff, I love a prom. So we got to do that. And a really fun part of that was obviously our principals, but then we had about like 200 background.
Wow.
So it was like getting all of that background also into prom attire, and the kids in tuxedos. So that was a really fun thing that I played a part in that I really loved. And I will also say another interesting thing about prom is that it was so fun in the fittings with our actors because some of them, coming up in the acting world, they didn't go to high school like a typical teen, so they didn't go to prom. So I remember even like Mary, who plays Sam, and then Peyton, who plays Tori, were like, I can't imagine, like, I don't know what prom was like, but thank you for giving me one. So that was like a really special, because I think you think like, oh my gosh, everybody knows what that is, like high school dances, but a lot of these actors didn't actually have that because they were acting. So it felt really special to get, to be a part of like, let's get you ready for prom, like let's do this, because that for me, I loved. I like loved that time. It was very fun.
Yeah, so you must have felt great, like you could sort of give them a prom, like that experience that they've never had.
It felt really special, like talking about, collaborating with them, talking about, what their characters would wear. I love the whole storyline that Silver gives Tori and Robbie money to get their looks. So we were like, okay, so what would they get? Imagine like Tori gets handed a wad of cash and she can just wear whatever she wants. Like figuring out what that character goes into the store and picks, and it's like, you know what? I've got this thing going on with Sam. I'm gonna show up to prom, and like their differences in that scene with what they're wearing, I think was just put together so beautifully. You got so much about their character even without them saying anything.
Right. Yeah. Which comes back to that whole like idea of like how the costumes like affect how you see the character as well. Like
absolutely.
And I love that because in the show, I'm always curious like how much intent they have within certain scenes. Like for example, when you brought up Sam, there's one scene in season 4 when the Miyagi-Dos are getting taught by Johnny, and he's teaching them about his style.
Yeah.
And I love the fact all the Miyagi-Dos are wearing blue, but obviously Sam is like wearing her own kind of style in a sense. And it doesn't feel very Miyagi-Do. It's like, she stands out more.
Yeah.
Was that done intently? Because like she's not just Miyagi-Do, like she's trying to learn this new style. Like
so I love the fans of the show who really just like tune in. Like ultimately you want the costumes to just inform the character and take you along this journey that's not always like smacked in your face. You want to just kind of like feel the progression, and that's always brilliant design to me, is when you can just feel it, something's different but you don't know what it is. That's magic of storytelling. What we talked about with Sam's arc through season 4 was that Miyagi-Do we generally do in those cooler tones. So you're like blues, your purples, that kind of like cool world. And then Eagle Fang we've done in that kind of warmer world, sort of taken from Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is a little more just like red, black. With Eagle Fang, we kind of started to introduce some like maroon, a little bit of some gold, but that warmer world. So we talked about Sam sort of going into those more like badass colors to us, like that badass color world. I think, Sam's, like season 2 where she's training with Robbie would have never, Sam would never be in a red, because it's whoa, that's probably, too intense for her. But kind of taking her into that Eagle Fang color world was something that we worked on as she was learning to blend together the different styles, and just kind of giving her, I think so much of the season is like giving her own voice with that. Another thing to keep in mind is that we are in, sunny California, and just kind of honing in on those kind of cheery colors there. So she did a really great color arc.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I love that, not just you see the character grow, but just seeing as their personalities change, their style changes.
Yeah, and I think that's true with anyone. Like as you evolve, people go through phases with things, and you have to still imagine like this character gets up and gets dressed every morning, right? Like you go into your closet, you pick out something to wear, and there's a reason. You might not know, maybe it's something you love, or I feel like all of Johnny's wardrobe is like always like the tried and true, like had these clothes for a while, they're kind of rumpled, but like they feel comfortable. So I think trying to interject wherever we can that these characters also get up in the morning and get dressed. Like depending on their mood is what they're gonna put on, and then let's use that to tell the story of these characters.
Right. Is there a specific outfit or character in the show that you really like their style the most?
I mean, so many of them. I feel like it's funny whenever I'm on a show, I'll get dressed in the morning and I think I'm putting on my clothes and I think, oh my gosh, I just dressed like Sam today. There have been, I think the days the most where I personally have like woken up and been like, oh, I look like Sam, which is kind of hard to do when you're like, in a world intensely, kind of thinking about these clothes day in and day out to like then figure out what your own style is outside of that. It's really tricky. But I really, really like the fun things we get to do with Sam. I like her athletic wear, like putting together those fun looks. Another character that always has fun clothes is Kyler.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so Kyler, so that was like a big thing I think that Joe and Frank had always kind of talked about. Kyler's always had this like great pop of color and this kind of style that some of the other characters don't necessarily have. And I think it's rooted in Kyler's confidence, that guy we established earlier on in the series. Yeah. His athletic wear tends to be really, really awesome. So I like his style. I like his style a lot. We can play with a lot of fun things there. And then I think, I'm also really partial to Sam's, mostly because her and I have a similar body type, but she's like the extra small version of me, and I'm like the medium version. But jeans that I tend to also love on myself personally are jeans that like work on her too. So I'll be like, oh, I have those same jeans that you're wearing right now. So from like a personal like Rachel standpoint, I do love her stuff because it looks a lot like what I have, but the darker version of that color.
Right. Yeah, that's quite cool actually.
Yeah.
When you brought up Joe, because his style, like, I think for me personally, that's the kind of style I'd love to like wear myself. So
good.
I was speaking to Joe about, the jacket he wore in the season 3 finale. Like, that is some cool drip, Joe. And he was like,
oh yeah.
It was an awesome jacket.
Was the one where it's like red and black and white?
Yeah, and I think some white lines in it as well.
Yeah. That's
like I was just like, do you get the best drip in the show, Joe? Because like it looks like you kind of do. But like with all the stars and obviously working with the cast, and they might have a different style to the actual character.
So that's always interesting too, to me, is that so a lot of times like we're dressing these characters, but you keep in mind like we're dressing the character, the actor might not necessarily like always wear that stuff. I think in that example, like Mary plays Sam is a great example. So her clothing on the show is generally kind of like sunny and like warmer colors and happy, just a little bit more color. I think earlier in the series, it was a little bit more girly. We've gone to a more kind of badass place now. Both style lanes being cool. Her style in real life is just a little bit darker. You know, she wears Doc Martens a lot. She just comes in a little bit kind of a little bit of a more tougher badass style than Sam would have. You know, similar shapes of clothing, but we'll be talking about something in a fitting, and she'll be like, "Yeah, I love this shirt. I would get it for me, but in black." Or like in the tie-dye version. You know, it's always like the darker one. And I was like, yes, totally. And also I have that same shirt, Mary.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool to see how some of the actors' personal styles like kind of feels like harmonious. And then some people are kind of, you know, don't really dress like that in real life.
So would you say like any of the styles that you see with some of the characters, does that actually influence some of the actors, like, and like, oh, I would like to wear this, yeah, like never thought of this
So I mean,
before.
we've definitely been in fittings where someone will be like, yeah, we had it happen once with Billy where he was like, yeah, this t-shirt is great. Like, what's the info on it? Like, let me get some. We were like, yeah, it's from Nordstrom. It's Good Life. Like, you know, yeah, well, this is where we got it. That does happen a lot, which is nice. I mean, you're thinking like as an actor going in, somebody just, you know, shopped you a whole like rack of clothing that kind of is like in your size and is going to probably look good on you.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of actors are like, ooh, this is great. I should just go buy this. I always say when I am trying to go shopping for myself, it's so tricky. I would rather just hire a friend that's a shopper and be like, hey, here's my sizes. Give me a rack and I'll go through it. I want somebody else to do what we do every day for the actors. So I think they get a lot of like hot tips on, you know, maybe a brand they've never heard of or a style they might not have tried before that they try on in the fitting and end up liking for themselves.
Right, like it must be difficult because like if they really like something, they'd probably want to take that home, but like
I
obviously you
know,
don't,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that definitely does. We always like joke about that. They're like, oh, like if these shoes like fall off of the truck, it's like, well, the clothes, any clothes that are used on the show all get bagged up in like garment bags, because the thing with what I realized when I first went into TV kind of that blew my mind like when I was younger is that so when you see these episodes in like movies, like you don't shoot them in order, you know, you don't
Yeah.
shoot them from beginning to end. You're picking apart scene. So we have a whole wardrobe team that we're like, okay, this is what, you know, Daniel wears for, you know, this change in episode 401.
Yeah.
And every time they wear it, make sure they're in these clothes. So there's a whole system. So basically anything that's ever worn is always kept together because, you know, they could realize when you're at the end of the season, like, oh, we need to go back and reshoot this from a few episodes ago. So everything lives together because you never know when you need to visit again, especially on this show because they love a flashback and they love like a callback to this this character we saw here. So everything we keep is really organized, really bundled up. So we're always like, yeah, take a photo. We'll tell you exactly where we got it, and then go out and get your own version because who knows when we're going to need this version again.
Right. The thing with the whole process with the clothes and stuff, like how do you guys like make sure you maintain it in the best possible condition? Because obviously like you don't want it to be like scrappy, you know, like, you know, like, yeah, just not very, like you want it to be in the best possible condition.
Yeah, the best condition. So
how do you maintain that?
We have a whole badass team. So we kind of in the costume department works harmoniously with like wardrobe. So we're kind of like, we're all one department, but half of us are kind of like in the office and you're sort of like in the acquiring of the costumes, fitting the costumes, making sure they fit. So that's kind of like one process there. And then there's another process that's all on the wardrobe side on set. So we have a wardrobe trailer, like a big truck that has racks and built-in things to it. So we keep all of the clothes there once they're ready to go on camera. And then we have a team that's led by a person who oversees that truck, our set costumers, and they make sure all of that is worn and maintained. Things that obviously can get washed. We do overnight dry cleaning is a a crucial element to TV and film is that you will wrap on a costume at night, at 9 p.m. And that same thing will work the next day at 5 a.m. And it actually a lot of times goes out to a dry cleaner in between that. So you have companies that specialize in that overnight cleaning. And then, we have a sharp team that's always looking to see, okay, did this need to be mended? We have a tailor as part of our department that helps perfect everything. And another thing is that a lot of clothes that are going to get that like wear and tear and beat up, especially if it's like, this is somebody wearing white and they're in a scene where they're eating a hot dog. It's like, you know what? I think we need 2 of those t-shirts because hot dogs are pretty sloppy. So we try to do as best we can to prepare for something that's going to have a lot of action with it, to have more than one in case one does get ruined. On top of any multiples needed for any stunt work, which is an entire different thing.
Yeah. We were saying previously, prior to this, just like, if there has been a situation where, maybe stunts have gone, maybe some of the clothing got ripped or something happened
absolutely.
to it. Like, how do you make sure, like, especially with like, the tournament itself, how do you make sure like how many versions you have of that gi and kind of maintain that in case anything does get ripped or kind of torn?
Well, okay, so I would say the motto of Cobra Kai is that like there's always multiples. Like if you see something, buy something. We always need more than one.
Yeah.
The great thing about the tournament gis are that what's really helpful and was in our favor was that these gis from Century are made to do karate action in. So you have pants that are made to withstand kicking. You have tops that have that agility already built into them. So the actor's not having to restrict their movement for the sake of the clothing, which is awesome. So you're already in an outfit that's functional for what's happening. Right. So with the gis, I mean, we had one for our principal actor, we had one for their stunt player, and then for sometimes during the tournament, they have to do some rigging, which means we're going to put somebody in a harness to help lift them up for a shot so they can get that cool kick angle. So for that, we need sometimes a gi just for that, because you might have to cut some holes in it to allow for some of the mechanics underneath of it.
Yeah.
And then some of our principals also had like a rehearsal gi. So that was like they could practice in costume while going through their skill level to make sure they felt comfortable in it. You're rehearsing. So in short, some of our actors had 4 versions of one gi.
Wow.
Costume. And then you think how many people are on all of those teams. Not everybody has that many, but it was a lot.
Definitely. Like, run me through the process of making the gis, because obviously, like you said, you have to make so many versions for the actors and then like the stunt doubles, etc. Like, what was that whole process like, and how long did it take to get all these gis done?
Well, our show shoots very fast and furious. So everything is always like overnight shipping. We need it done tomorrow. Because a lot of times we shot 2 episodes at one time and we knew the next episodes we're going to shoot, but sometimes you don't always know when in the schedule it's going to shoot. So the more prepared you can be, the better. So, I mean, I think Frank had these ideas in mind of design wise, like from the beginning, you kind of try to get at the beginning of the season, an over arc of where the story's going to go. And once he found out they were going to end at All Valley and then who the people were going to be, it was like, okay, time to start thinking about what that uniform is at All Valley. So Cobra Kai's gi had already been established. That was something that was established by Johnny Lawrence in the Karate Kid movies. And I think with Cobra Kai, it was always like, don't mess with the classic. Keep it exactly what it was, which is awesome. And then we kind of just like, he from there started to think, okay, Miyagi, we have these awesome practice gis that they're practicing in. Like, how do we elevate that and make it something that they present in a tournament? And a really, really special part of that he thought of that is so cool is that callback to the headband is a patch on the bottom of the gi. So we made that into a patch, and that was, I think that's a really special detail that was really neat. So I think like also thinking, what would Johnny do for Eagle Fang? Like, what would he do? So figuring out like, okay, this red is going to stand out because Cobra Kai was black. So you have these three like powerhouse colors all coming together where everybody kind of gets their own personality. Another thing that was really, really cool that Frank thought of for Johnny's gi is that the patches that Johnny had in the original movie, which kind of signified like the tournaments he had won, he put those same patches onto Johnny's red Eagle Fang gi. So you got this like amazing callback to the original movie. And I think our designer Frank is really, really great at putting in those Easter eggs clothing wise, whenever he can, because it is such a fun homage back to the original story that we're continuing.
I found it interesting with some of the patches, because one of the patches in particular, the gold fist, Chosen has that in the Karate Kid too. And I've always been curious about that connection. I mean, we still haven't like fully learned what that, like why he has that patch or how it connects. But and obviously, again, like I'm not sure if Frank even knows. Just
I mean, there's always like whenever we go in to establish and figure out, you know, new looks, we always take a look back at like what has previously been worn, and maybe there's a clue there to that character's thing. Like, were they training with somebody before? Are they doing something different now? So there's always, I think, using those clues always helps us build a story of a character. And that's really exciting about figuring out how to design this world that we got the pleasure of designing, is, you know, figuring out how those little clues can connect and then how we can use that later to further inform.
And like, like each piece of clothing in a sense kind of tells its own story, like relating back to character arcs as well.
Absolutely.
And I love the Eagle Fangies are so dope because
they're
obviously
so fun. I know that stripe across the front is really badass, and you know, it's just cool. So cool. I saw that also they made some skins for Fortnite where they did that too. That was like over the moon. So I think another cool thing that Frank talks about a lot in the fittings is you have this look you're putting together and you think like, this is going to become an iconic thing. You know, this is going to be something that people are going to dress up as. So you always just want to put in that work to nail all those little details to make something that pays tribute to this, like these badass characters in this really fun world.
For sure. With going back to like maintaining the clothing, I think I saw like an image of Mary, and she was wearing her gi, but she was wearing a poncho on it, and she had a drink. Like, did you guys have like strict rules whenever the cast were in their gis, or was that just literally like it was just because of the weather?
So it was a little bit of the weather, but what's always crazy is, so the gis were white, and you know, they wore them. I think All Valley took us like 11 days to shoot, so they were in them every day. And we did have a scenario at one point where like somebody spilled like hot
no
someone. We were like, oh gosh, okay, everybody be really careful. Like we can't ruin essentially the one hero when you have. There's stunt ones, there's rehearsal ones, but we just want to keep everything like as clean as possible. So I think the picture where she's wearing the poncho, I wasn't there that day, but it was probably like part practicality but part of joke. Like, we cannot get things on these clothes. Like, you can't do
it. Because like not only it would probably cause a production issue, but also obviously just like all that hard work made into that gi, it's just like kind of been ruined by
you're like, oh well, and especially it's like if it happens where something, you know, like they're doing a scene and then somebody steps out to go to Crafty and then they're drinking a soda and somebody bumps into them and you spill the soda on you, and it's like, well, we have to get back shooting. So it's always just being like very gingerly with costumes. Like even with our crafty snacks, you don't generally get like, you're not getting like chicken wings on set. You know, they're just too messy.
Yeah.
Never a day like that. It's like they would never, that would be like a hilarious thing if they decided like, let's serve wings at All Valley. It's like a terrible idea.
They've seen that massive hamburger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like
he's always really cautious to be in that. And what's great about those gis is that they are comfortable. So the actors tend to wear them a lot. And, you know, on this show, they're in pretty, you know, you're in normal clothing. So a lot of times the actors aren't changing out when they go to eat lunch and stuff. If they have a long break in between, you know, sometimes, but generally, especially like a lot of the athletic wear, it's comfortable. So they generally kind of just stay in it and bop around until they go back on camera. So we're always like, don't spill anything.
Yeah.
But obviously little stains and spills do happen. And we have a myriad of solution for stain removal.
Yeah. Like with, within the show, all these different themes and genres that we get out of it, how would you say it, like, you know, it differs to like other shows maybe you worked on, like The Walking Dead, because that's got such a dark theme? Does that affect how much the costume department like is influenced in the sense of these different kind of colors and based on the theme?
So it's cool. So ultimately with design, you're always going off of the script in the world. And then we're dressing the characters to tell that story in the world. And sometimes that world is dark. That world is grungy. When I worked on The Walking Dead, what blew my mind is Yulin Hufke, who's the designer of that, is a master of distressing. She was on from season 1 through 6, I think, and I worked on season 5. But that world is just a very different clothing world than, you know, like something like Emily in Paris. You know, it's just like a different world. Even if those people all exist in the same world, like you're just creating a different tone overall. So that's really fun to go on to different projects and to just see like, okay, what are the things that matter to these characters in this world? Like what's gonna help us here? That is always, it's really fun, different project to project. You always kind of go through a little bit of a different world, which is why my clothes always end up looking so crazy. I'll look at them later, you know, cleaning out my closet and thinking, oh, this t-shirt looks nothing like anything I would wear. And it's like, oh, well, because I was on this project thinking of this character, and that's why I bought this absolutely insane thing that looks like nothing like I was wear, because I was just like engulfed into kind of this other world.
Right. With Netflix, well, there was the move to Netflix for Cobra Kai, because obviously on YouTube before. Would you say that really influenced how much creativity you had over the costumes and outfits?
Not much for us changed. So Sony Pictures Television was always our like producing entity. So YouTube versus Netflix, a lot of that is where they air. So that's just like who is distributing this.
Right.
Creative wise, once we came on Netflix for season 4, we had a little bit more like when we were introducing some new characters, Netflix wanted to take a look at them and see. But otherwise, I think when Netflix acquired the show, they left the creative trust still within our 3 guys that head the show. And in conjunction, like all of the departments within there, like what we stayed in the same awesome lane of what we were doing. But for us, like Netflix to Sony or Netflix from YouTube didn't really have a big thing. I mean, our budgets were still relatively the same. Like everything was pretty much the same, except now we just got to introduce this show to so many more people. Like the exposure just really changed. But clothing wise, it didn't really have much of like an effect on us.
One thing I loved in season 4 was the champion Cobra Kai gear. A lot of people noticed that.
Oh my gosh,
and
how cool is that stuff?
Right, like seeing yourself and the cast and crew just wearing it offset looked really badass, and then
So
seeing
bad.
it in the show, like, what was it like working to have something like Champion involved? Because that gear is so cool.
It is so cool. So that was something that Frank started, I think, from the beginning of season 4. It was the collab with Champion and with that came through Sony, that Frank worked with them to design. We knew we were going to get to a point in the story where Terry Silver is kind of taking over and decides that he's going to put his hand in what Cobra Kai's dojo is like. And that includes getting all this sweet swag for everyone. So Frank worked with Champion to design all of that stuff. He literally designed it all. And then we got, at the end of the season, Frank did hoodies for us. Where he put that awesome like Miyagi-Do
That was so cool.
on the sleeve. I do love that hoodie. So that's how we got that. But the other stuff, like the cool snake sports bra, and I love that one look that Robbie had that was like the snake like muscle tank, and then he had compression leggings under it. So all of that stuff lives with the show. Nobody has any of that. One of the awesome things about working on Cobra Kai, and there are so many, is that our wrap gift presents tend to be badass clothing. So from being on 3 seasons of this show, I have so much Cobra Kai stuff. And yeah, the stunt department will give you a cool t-shirt. This hat that I'm wearing now, this beanie, Dallas, who plays Kenny, gave us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, we get a lot of like awesome stuff like that. Our season 4 wrap t-shirt was this like light yellow thing that looked like a Coors Banquet tee, but it said like Cobra Kai instead of Coors Banquet. I believe a fan designed that, and then they made that as the wrap gift. I think was the story behind that. But we get all kinds of like wearable goodies. Like Tanner and Mary gave us sweatpants for this past season. So I at this point now can like show up to work essentially head to toe in Cobra Kai stuff. Sholo and Jacob gave us for season 4 these little like eyelet things you put at the bottom of your shoe that like lock in the shoe. You can like put it as like a little gem on your shoelace. It had an eagle fang on it. So it's like fantastic. Courtney gave us some sunglasses. So myself, my husband, we all have Cobra Kai sunglasses, which is funny because, I wear it out and around the sunglasses in my car. And we were at the Subaru dealership a few weeks ago, and one of the guy who was helping us was like, "Oh, Cobra Kai, do you like the show?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I actually work on it." He was like, "Oh man, like." So I just have a lot of branded stuff that says Cobra Kai, but I mean the logo is badass, and I love being a part of the show. So yeah, I wear it all the time.
I'm jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
Actually, what I'm really jealous of. So season 1, they gave these like red bomber jackets that are so badass. I mean, I don't have one of those. I wasn't here for season 1 and 2, which is funny. I was talking to one of the actors on season 5 at one point, and he was like, "Oh, when we did this thing on season 2," and I was like, "Tanner, I wasn't there." He was like, "Wait, what? I thought you were here this whole time." I was like, "No, I didn't do 1 and 2. I just came on at 3." But yeah, you just get some really sweet swag to wear. We've gotten, it's a fun group there. I think they're really appreciative to the crew in that way. We generally working in TV and film, a lot of your wrap gifts, you get a lot of water bottles and, little things like that. And like, wearable, there's a lot of t-shirts, but the Cobra Kai ones are especially awesome.
Obviously all the wrap gifts are really cool, but is there one in particular that like you just absolutely like wear all the time? Maybe the beanie, or is it anything else?
So I wear this beanie a lot. I love this beanie. I got it recently. So it's taken me through winter. I wear the hoodie Frank made us at the end of season 4 quite some time. Mm-hmm. I think what takes the cake for the best wrap gift I ever got, not alone just on Cobra Kai, but probably any show that I've worked on, I've been doing this for like 10 years now, so I've got a lot of wrapped gifts, to the point where we have our water bottles on display, and it's always a joke of like, "Hey Rachel, what shows are you worked on?" "Well, let me show you my wall of water bottles."
Yeah, just have a
All of
look.
these shows. But we got at the end of season 3. Yes, the end of season 3, we got bikes.
Yo, that's so cool.
Bikes, like bikes.
Cobra Kai bikes, like
Yeah, they were bikes. They were like
wow.
a few different colors. They were all in a box, so you had to build them.
Okay.
Then they gave you these stickers so you could kind of put it on, and the stickers were, there was like white ones and like blue ones. You're like, okay, that's the Miyagi bike. There was like a black one, and you were like, okay, that's the Cobra Kai bike. So they like made them like the colors, then you could put on your stickers and personalize it. So I have mine, and then the Costume Designer's bike as well, which we've been using. So when my husband and I go out to the beach or anything, we bring them with us. And yeah, essentially I have a Miyagi-Do bike and Brandon has a Cobra Kai bike, and we have our like bikes. So that was really cool. That was really, really cool. That's a pretty big gift most of the time.
Definitely, that is
kind of just like a water bottle, but Cobra Kai really does it out.
if you know, maybe like, is the champion stuff going to be available to like the fans at some point? So
I don't know. I think for Frank, that was always the thought. We're designing for the show, but then also these badass pieces that people can wear normally. I hope it is. I really want some.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can't get my hands on it, who can?
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah. You're in that.
So it's really cool. I think I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping, that Frank can do some awesome collaborations to maybe do like a Miyagi-Do line or an Eagle Fang line. How cool would it be to have this like awesome workout wear, and you have this like white Miyagi like hoodie? So I'm hoping it is, but as of right now, I have no idea.
I absolutely love like the casual wear, the fitness gear, because like me going to the gym, I know for a fact I'll be repping what Kyla wears, what Robbie wears, like in the gym. I would absolutely love to wear all of that. And then just on the comfort side, the hoodies, the sweatpants, the
hoodie,
general stuff. Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good. The athletic wear, I know it's super fun. We get to do a lot of fun things on this show. It's a really fun thing.
With out of all the process of making these outfits and costumes and the geese, which would you say was the most difficult to do or challenging for season 4?
So the challenge, I think, always kind of lies in what do these clothes have to do? So meaning that when you are in a tournament gi, this person's going to do karate in it. So there's going to be a stunt, like this clothing is made to do that. Yeah. What happens a lot on this show is that our characters get into fights when, they're not expecting it. So that is the challenge. So when you read a script that says, okay, here's all the kids. We're going to prom. They're so excited. Miguel picks Sam up. They look great. A perfect family photo. They go to prom. Fights ensue at an after party. They have to go into the water. Yeah. So you read that and you think, okay, so we need to let the audience know that when we first see Mary coming down the stairs, we don't expect that that's going to be what the end of the night is. So I think that is always the challenge. You don't want to give it away by the clothes, what action is going to happen. So I think that is the beautiful challenge of the show. And then, of course, it's then the logistics of it. So yes, it's a tuxedo that Miguel and Robbie are wearing, but it's a tux look that has to get wet. It has to fit a variety of people. It has to fit them, and it has to also fit their stunt doubles. We need a version for them. It has to be maintained, right? Like, we're not going to shoot this in one night. We have to have a few resets of it. And most importantly, that Frank always talks about in every fitting, is they have to be able to do the action in it, which means in these dress pants, Miguel has to be able to throw a kick. Thomas, Robbie's double, has to be able to get that punch in. So the clothing can't inhibit any of the movement. You know, we have to be able to get that action, and we have to do that action also safely, which sometimes means accounting for some room for padding. So if they're taking a fall to the ground, we need to make sure there's ample room in there for a back pad. But knowing that all of these logistics have to happen with this clothing for the sake of stunts and safety, we can't sacrifice the design of that. We still have to let these kids go to prom, which is what is happening in the story. So I think prom is a great example of how that all worked out harmoniously. I think when Tori walks in that badass dress, in those bitchin' heels, I don't think anybody thinks, oh, she's gonna fight in this, but she does, because that dress is all made of stretch. So
and then
that's the really cool, really fun part of designing on this show, is that problem solving of how do you make this tell the story and be true to the character, but then how do you make this practical, and then how do you find 3 more versions of it to make sure that the stunt players can wear it, and that they have a dry copy for when we throw them into the water. This show does love to throw people into the water. I was watching, I think it was through after the episode where they all get in and they're like getting the koi fish out of the pond. We're only 4 episodes in, and we've already put 9 outfits fully submerged in water. Like, Johnny falls off the balance board. All of our, the Eagle Fang kids get in and they're circling the pond. We had the kids going into the water. I think we put like 20 people in the water.
Wow.
Which is always like, we shot this. It was cold. That's also the other thing, is like, we're shooting for California, but it's cold outside. So, a lot of times, sometimes in those exterior scenes, they're wearing thermals and stuff underneath of their costumes. As soon as the camera isn't rolling, they're getting into a big warming coat. So that's another like fun thing that I think not a lot of people think of, but for us has to be part of the process. For the sake of like, you can't have somebody shivering all night in shorts. It's January.
Yeah, that must be a difficult challenge to overcome, like especially acting out as if it's warm in that scene, and then and cut. Yeah, I'm jumping in the pool. I need to go home.
Yeah, like it's warm, sunny California, but it's like it's February. The scene where especially in a lot of times in Atlanta, like during the daytime the temperature gets pretty good, but the mornings and the nighttime are rather cold. And if you ever need a scene that's dark out, like when all of the Cobras get sprinklered on the baseball field, they're cold. So it's like, how do we, make sure we're dressing them, they have the ability to stay warm. You're not going to put somebody in a t-shirt at 2 a.m. who's getting doused soaking wet.
Yeah.
But just always trying to like stay true. And I think there's a great work, a great design element that Frank puts in of color work there, making sure that we stay true to sunny California with our colors, even if sometimes we need to cheat it and do, a long sleeve because we need to hide some padding for a stunt, but just having the color really tell you we're still in California a lot of times when we can't do it with tank tops because of practicality.
Right. I mean, I appreciate everything that goes into these costumes, whether it's, making a replica for stunts, or if it's just like, something's got doused in water, like the amount of times happened this season. But like, this is things like people don't realize just how much it goes into the colors. And like you said, just to make sure you remember the location, the mise en scène in a sense, and like just appreciating like the the characters' personalities and their styles.
Yeah.
It's all a balance, as Miyagi would say. Trying to balance all of that.
That's such a great way to say it. There's a great act of balance in what we do, to still make sure that we're doing everything with integrity and doing everything with the love of all of these clothes in this show. And yeah, that's a really fun, like, behind the scenes glimpse into how our world works. And it comes up with every type of script. Even, like, I was noticing how your background behind you right now is that, like, almost like a green screen. So it's like, if you ever shoot something like that, if we ever know a character is going to be in front of something like that, we couldn't use that same color green. I think people have kind of started to see that as you have these fun, like, Instagram filters and stuff, and, like, the Zoom backgrounds. It's like, okay, if the background here is the same color here, that design's going to end up here. And that's something that we've been working with, in the costume world. That's forever. You're like, okay, is it going to be blue screen? Is it going to be green screen? Make sure we don't have those colors, because the design's going to project onto them.
Yeah.
So there's just these really fun nuances that are part of the challenge, but also what makes what you develop at the end really worthwhile, because you're like, cool, nobody thought that fight was coming, because nobody here is dressed for a fight. And that is a really fun ode to Cobra Kai.
For sure. Then, like you said, with some of the outfits, like, sometimes you aren't expecting a fight.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh, okay, there's a fight now. It's just, I love the thought process behind how you make an outfit with this color, with this use, with it's just so much. But it's so, the creative side is definitely the part you must enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
With one thing though, what was your first interaction or reaction like when you were working with a lot of these guys? Because obviously they just must have been so fun to work with, like, just what I've heard from people saying on set, how nice everybody works together.
Oh my gosh. So everybody is just really, really fantastic. It's a very welcoming, supportive group of people that care about you in your life and at work. So it's just a fun place to show up to work. I'm personally friends with the designer now. When I got married this year and did a very small elopement, and I had afterwards we had like 6 people literally come to a hotel room so we could have a little party. Like, Frank was one of those people I invited. So it's just I think that camaraderie happens a lot with television and movie projects, because you're working these really long hour days. Like, I don't know, everybody knows, like, yes, what goes into TV and film is a lot of work, but our call times every day, most of the time on Cobra Kai, are 7 a.m., which means that's when the camera is ready to shoot. So for everybody to get ready before that, we're getting in around 5:30, 6 a.m., and then you shoot a 12-hour day. So I don't go home until like 7:30. So most of my days on set are 12 hours, and a lot of them involve, sometimes because of travel, you can't fit somebody until the day of. So you have a 5:45 a.m. fitting. So you just hit the ground running. And I think being with someone in that environment really builds this camaraderie. And I think the team at Cobra Kai makes it even better, because, everybody's saying hi to each other in the morning. Everybody's like, oh, what did you do this weekend? Like, and they genuinely care, they really do. I remember when one of the showrunners was asking me, they're like, oh my gosh, I saw that, you got married, like, your wedding pictures look beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm just the little person that stands over here, but, like, thanks for noticing that. That was so cool. There's nobody that feels like off limits or not talkable with. Everything feels very collaborative, approachable, kind. It's just really an environment that you want to be in. And the actors are, fantastic. They care about this world too. And it's just been really fun. So I felt that welcoming energy as soon as I started. I dove in season 3, and I think there's a great thing about Cobra Kai is it really does feel like like the underdogs rising, right? Like it was something on YouTube. So it was something that was really like fan niche.
Yeah.
Then has taken over and grown into this really fun sensation. So I think there wasn't this thing going in from the beginning. People weren't in it to do it because it was this massive, massive thing that everybody knew about. You know, it was a thing that people did because they loved. And what's been very interesting is that the three guys, John, Josh, and Hayden, have always said, like, this is our Star Wars. Like, this is our Karate Kid trilogy is our Star Wars. Like, this is our world. Like, these characters, and you feel that love that is portrayed in the scripts. You feel it on set, and it's really, really lovely, and frankly, a big reason why I keep going back. And I keep going back because I love the wrap gifts.
Yeah, can only imagine you have like millions now, but
it's so cool. I just have like a closet of Cobra Kai tees.
You should just make a video like, welcome to my wrap gift.
I know, welcome to all the cool things I've got on Cobra Kai.
You could probably have like an entire house with just all the wrap gifts. I imagine.
So much. I have beer signs. I have cards. I have Vanessa, who plays Carmen, gave me this awesome little like cell phone holder thing I have on my desk right now. Notebooks. I have everything. But then I'll still also like another great place. An interesting tidbit about the show is that so you can get Cobra Kai branded stuff at like Spencer's, Hot Topic. And sometimes for the show, it is truly easier and cheaper for us to go buy the t-shirt that says Cobra Kai at Hot Topic versus screen printing it, even though we have all of those same graphics. So that's where I've gotten some hats at Cobra Kai before that I've worn on set. People are like, oh, what season did you get that hat? I was like, guys, I got it at Hot Topic. So there's even still like on set, like people are like, oh, where's that from? Where I didn't get that one. What department gave you that gift? And I was like, it's from Hot
Topic. So I'm guessing like you had to get wrap gifts as well. So like, is there anything in particular you had to get for season 4 for like some of the guys in your?
I haven't given like the massive crew a gift before, but Frank, our designer for season 4, did the hoodies for everyone, and that was sort of like from Frank and the costume department. I generally, for season 3, and I know I did it for 5, I can't remember if I did it for 4. I've made these little like activity books. I think
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so you spend a lot of time sort of on set, especially if there's overnights and you're waiting to switch over to a scene and maybe your actor that you're covering isn't on, so you're like on the truck kind of waiting. So I made these little activity printout books and gave it with some Crayola crayons and almost like a kids thing. So there was like a connect the dots. That was like, you know, they added a last minute scene for Johnny, like help Michael R. Taylor create his cowboy uniform. And then you can easily search like word search and like crossword things, like because they have those generators online for teachers. So I just did it and made like a Cobra Kai one. So it was like a you know, word search with all the character names, and I said like, you know, Frank and Rachel and Tori, who is our shopper, have been for season 4, have been out shopping all day, and the names of the stores are getting all scrambled up. Help them unscramble them. It's like, you know, the like American Eagle Outfitters like scrambled. And so yeah, I've done that as little wrap gifts. I like a little like interactive kind of thing. We get a lot of badass stuff you can already wear on this show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just like a little like just a little activity book. If you give me your address, I'll send you the ones I know I did one for season 3 and season 5. Yeah, they're just little like kids activities.
Oh, honestly, I'd love one. I'd love to see what it is.
Oh no, I can't send you the season 5 because there's spoilers. I'll send you the season.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'll send you the season 3 one, and then when 5 comes out, I'll send you the activity book for season 5.
Okay, cool. Well, last question to round this off is just, I mean, I asked you this prior, but Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do, Eagle Flag.
So I think through and through, I'm a Cobra Kai. I think that thirst for competition, that badass, sticking to a classic. I just think that's me. I love the Miyagi-Do principles. I think being on defense and having that composure is really lovely. I think I wish I was like that, but I know I'm not. I know I'm a strike first type of gal.
Yeah.
And I have joked on this show with the designer. I was like, so when are we getting No Mercy tattoos? Like, I've done enough. I have enough tattoos that I'm fine to get little small ones about whatever, you know. I was like, when are we getting No Mercy tattoo? I have a snake tattoo, not in any relation to Cobra Kai. Just I have a snake. Yeah, I think I'm a Cobra.
For sure. Thank you so much for coming on, Rachel. Appreciate
You're
your
so
time.
welcome. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you. It's so informative. I learned so much about your role and just the costume department and the process. It's always interesting to find these things. And yeah, it's just been awesome to find out more about it because I literally had no clue.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't know all the ins and outs.
But yeah, thank you so much again. And guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. We will see you next time on the channel. Me and Rachel are going to sign out. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See ya.